How the 43-57 rule can improve any conversation and help you get what you want. This rule was developed by specialists who analyzed more than 25,000 dialogues. Most of the time, we barely listen to what's happening in a conversation, especially when it's just an exchange of pleasantries. The worst conversations are those where each participant wants to speak and listens to the other person only to wait for their turn to talk. But what makes a good conversation? How much should you speak, and how much should you listen to achieve the outcome you want from your interlocutor? The 43-57 ratio can make a conversation more effective. A few years ago, specialists from a company that develops software for call analysis and sales optimization studied over 25,000 phone conversations between sales managers and clients. The developers wanted to determine the ideal balance between speaking and listening to achieve the highest conversion rate in sales. They found that the optimal ratio is 43-57, meaning you should speak for 43% of the time and listen for 57%. The least successful sales calls were those where sales representatives spoke for more than 60% of the time. This means you are more likely to persuade someone to accept your point of view if you listen more than you speak. Of course, the 43-57 ratio is not an absolute rule. Every conversation is unique, with its own dynamics that both participants need to navigate. However, knowing this ratio can improve the quality of communication in any situation and help you get what you need from a conversation. Why is it important to use the 43-57 rule? Talking about ourselves is enjoyable. A study conducted at Harvard University shows that self-disclosure gives us the same pleasure as sex or delicious food. However, the person we are talking to may not find it as enjoyable. A good conversation is like a game of catch, where both participants should engage equally, 50-50. If we start monopolizing the conversation, keeping the ball on our side and not passing it to the other person, they begin to feel unnecessary and undervalued. On the other hand, when we listen, we allow the other person to process their thoughts and concerns. This fosters deeper relationships that are more fulfilling. Listening also shows that we are willing to understand the other person, which is especially important in romantic relationships. We tend to believe we know our closest people as well as we know ourselves. However, as Kate Murphy writes in her book You're Not Listening, we wouldn't want to be with someone who acts as if we haven't changed at all since we first met. By listening to each other, we maintain connection despite life's inevitable changes. How to apply the 43-57 rule. Don't be afraid of silence. Pauses make conversations deeper, provide time to formulate ideas, and serve as catalysts for discussion. Let others speak more. If someone falls silent, it doesn't necessarily mean they have nothing more to say. Ask questions, but don't blindly follow a pre-prepared list or bombard the person with questions all at once. Respond to the flow of the conversation and ask for clarifications as it unfolds. Show curiosity about what interests you and ask about details. At first, it may feel uncomfortable, but with practice, asking questions will become much easier. Show empathy. During conversations, it's easy to focus on ourselves. We often think, what does this person want me to say? Or, how will I look if I respond this way? We become so absorbed in our own thoughts that we miss the actual dialogue. Try putting yourself in the other person's shoes and understanding their motivations.